this video, we are going to be continuing at last the journey through the Uncharted games. I just had not been feeling very motivated to record Uncharted related content, which is funny because I played through them all to make these videos, and then I thought I wasn't going to, and now I am. But nevertheless, we're finally doing it. Here we go. Uncharted 4, A Thief's End. And you can tell right away from this intro that things are a little different. You know, there's no triumphant main theme, no big, epic, grand scale adventure, just a strange, odd, little, rickety, little cage with a skeleton in it. Like, okay, what's that all about? It's a little different. And that's generally the vibe of this game. It's got a bit of a different vibe to it than the other ones, because it's kind of a legacy sequel style. You know, old grizzled veteran comes out of retirement for one last adventure, but that doesn't mean it doesn't start with a bang. So we have this whole intro here to start the game. We kind of do a Uncharted 2 that is starting the game in media res, right? Halfway through the action. And it's an interesting way to start it. I just feel, though, that it doesn't seem to work as well in this game. So let me get it out of the way first. Do I like Uncharted 4? Yes. Do I enjoy it? Yes. Is it my favorite one in the series? No, absolutely not. That's still Uncharted 2. But I guess it might be second best, perhaps. I feel like it's got less story holes than Uncharted 3, but also from a gameplay perspective, I feel they may have gone a little far in a few places, as George would say. And that's because this was continuing the trend of Naughty Dog from Last of Us, which was, we have to put in as much game into the game as possible, even if it sacrifices pacing. Because again, Last of Us, I like that game, but it's like I'd say a solid 7.5, 8 out of 10 for me, you know, not a masterpiece. And I'm sure Last of Us Part 2, I like that one also, which I kind of rank it around the same as Part 1. It does a few things worse, but there's a few things it does better, like it has a dodge button, so that automatically makes it on equal footing with Last of Us Part 1. But we're talking Uncharted. Yeah, it's a fun intro, really gets you in the vibe, but also, I feel like it doesn't have as much of a build-up to it as the train sequence in Uncharted 2. Like that, there's a lot of build-up. Like, we see the train yard, then we're on the train for a bit, and we know what's coming because we keep flashing forward, or, you know, thinking about that flash forward. Whereas here, I feel like it doesn't have as big of a hit as the train sequence, and also because Uncharted 4 has so many intros to it. It's like they couldn't decide how they wanted to start the game, so rather than pick one intro, they did all of them. Because we have the Uncharted 2 intro, which is the, you know, in media res, start halfway through the story in the middle of the action intro, which is also the Uncharted 1 intro. We're on a boat shooting at people. And then we have the flashback intro to when he's a kid. Okay, that's Uncharted 3, right? And it's to introduce the platforming. And introduce, of course, that Nate has had a secret brother this whole time. Is it a bit of a cop-out? Yeah, they do their best to try to justify why he never mentioned him before. And I'll take it. It's not the best way, but whatever. His brother's Troy Baker. We'll take that. Sam's a pretty interesting character. I like him. And then they were like, well, why don't we do the one of his last big adventures mission? Or I can't tell. I guess he talks about all these things he did. So the whole him escaping the prison, that was like before Uncharted 1, so we have that intro now. And then, so we have that, and then we also have the whole he's old and washed up and has to get back in the game intro. So there's a lot of intros to this game, and I feel like it's a little bit long, you know, it's gone too far in a few places. So this video is not going to be like a summary of the plot, and it's not going to be like the story. It's going to be just like the main moments that stood out for me, so we don't keep the video too long. So of course we'll have the intro and the ending and some of the best moments in there, here, and there. So yeah, now of course we have the flashback one, right? Yeah, I feel like they got a little too wrapped up in trying to do character in the story rather than just, you know, the game. And then when we get to some of the levels, they feel very lengthy and drawn out. Uncharted 4 is definitely a long game. It's not as long as Last of Us Part 2, which is officially the longest game of all time. At least when you're playing it, it feels that way. But yeah, I feel like it was definitely like the trend was like continuing, and Naughty Dog has been on a very linear progression in terms of where they were and where they're going, and we can just see that it keeps going in that direction. There's been no deviation from the course, and I don't know if it's necessarily for the better. That's the thing about Naughty Dog games, these last few they've done, Last of Us, Uncharted 4, and Last of Us Part 2, is when they hit those highs, they really hit them, but there is a lot of stuff I find in between, and maybe it's to make those moments stand out a little greater, but also sometimes it just feels like, you know, they're trying to make the biggest game of all time, regardless of whether or not it actually deserves to have that element to it. So yeah, you may notice I'm leaving out a game because it was one that I hadn't played, and we'll get to that. That's Uncharted Lost Legacy. I actually have some very interesting things to say about that one. But yeah, we got Sam here, and his brother, and, you know, Nathan and Sam, dynamic duo. And of course, yeah, now we have the transition till this intro of the game, right? We kind of get 3 intros before the title card, and then another intro after the title card, because it's Uncharted 4. That's why it has 4 intros, right? Yeah, I don't know, I just feel like that the intro didn't hook me as much as the other ones. You know, the other ones are very straight to the point, and even a game with a longer intro like Last of Us, I feel, was more, you know, captivating. It just felt a little tedious, but, you know, that's how it is these days, right? I don't know, I probably sound like I'm being a very big negative Nancy on this one, and it's not, it's easier for me to point out what I don't like. You know, what do I like? Well, the game is good. Why is it good? Because I enjoy it. What more do you need than that? Okay, well, what didn't you like about it? Well, this one specific thing here, I don't think I really felt like I was into that as much as I should have been, and I think it highlights a design problem. You see what I mean? Like, I can go into more detail about those sorts of things, as opposed to the goods, right? There is a lot of good in this one. I don't know. It might also be because I know I'm in the minority, because many probably say Uncharted 4 is the best one, or at least the second best one. Whereas me, I'm having trouble deciding whether it's 3 or 4, because I like them both for different reasons, and I dislike them both for different reasons, if that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I can't deny the game looks and plays great. I played the PS5 version, which is spectacular, and I love the DualSense. The PS5 controller feels great. And the voice acting's great, and the script is mostly good. But yeah, Prison Break sequence, and, you know, big escape, and It's the funny thing, because the whole thing is supposed to be that Nathan thinks Sam has been dead this whole time. And, like, this is meant to be, like, a fake death. But, like, I feel like they did too good of a job of making him look like he was dead. Like, he gets shot, and he falls, and hits metal and falls further. Like, I know the intention was to make it look like he was dead, but I feel like they did too good of a job for that. I don't know. Like, I mean, it wasn't like some like fake death pill, like Metal Gear Solid style, but still, that's how I feel. Oh well. Yeah, and the other thing that Uncharted 4 does, because Last of Us did it, Last of Us Part 2 does it, is how you can, like, hold up random objects and, like, look at them and, like, slightly zoom in a little bit. But, like, I don't like this feature because 90% of the objects you look at have no significance. It's like, hey guys, look, we have a decent engine that can render detailed models, and, like, your little zoom feature barely zooms in on the model itself. It just seems a little showy for the point of it, right? Like, I don't know, I know the whole thing is we wanted the games to be more interactive, but now I feel like we need to make them a little less. It's odd. Anyway, yeah, that brings us to the fourth intro, right? Hanging around in the attic, but I have always liked this sequence, though. This has been a fun one, you know. I like the whole, you know, practicing the cover and shooting mechanics, but like with the toy gun. This is fun. I think it's cute. I think this was also like at a point in time where people weren't sick of the whole, like, you know, veteran comes out of retirement for one last mission storyline. It's definitely been done a lot these days. Because this was 2016, so it was after Force Awakens, but it was like before, like, Indiana Jones and stuff, and before The Last Jedi. Yeah, I feel it's kind of a storyline a lot of people really rag on. Yeah, next, of course, we have one of my favorite, sort of, not exactly a fourth wall break, but kind of, sort of, it's a little self-congratulatory, but hey, it's people talking about how much fun Crash Bandicoot is. So, yeah, I will take that. That is good indeed. And it's funny because I didn't meet Nolan North, but I've been, like, at a panel with him, and somebody asked a great question, like, this scene where you voice act playing Crash Bandicoot, I just got you to know that's, like, the best impersonation of someone being, like, a boomer playing a video game. And then he kind of had a funny laugh where he was like, oh my god, you just called me a boomer. So he was pretty funny. We like Nolan North, he's great. Crash Bandicoot. Yeah, you know, as actually, as much as I love Crash Bandicoot, the only two that I've played all fully is Warped, which is Crash Bandicoot 3, and then one of the non-Naughty Dog game ones, which was Wrath of Cortex. But I grew up on that one, so I really liked it. I guess a lot of people didn't. But, yeah, it's such a great sequence, and I love the way it's framed, like the commentary on it. Kind of makes me think of the commentary on the FBI scene from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Really like that a lot. And yeah, the classic running levels, which I know a lot of people like to hate on, right? Like with the camera perspective, but I don't know, it's a real great way to ramp up the tension. You know, I always found those levels very intimidating as a kid gamer. Yeah. And of course you can't actually beat Elena's high score here. You have to do that later. And it's probably one of those most triumphant achievements to achieve. I think also the boulder smashing the boxes counts for you. There's certain levels in Crash Bandicoot where the level destroying the boxes actually counts. And I have done that. I've done 104% on both Warped and Wrath of Cortex. It's funny, I was so hyped as well for the remaster that I never bothered playing it. Oh well. Those level lanes look, oh, how adorable. So cute. But yeah, I guess we're doing the dishes. Yeah, they're very cute. I like them. I'm glad they finally ended up together because, like, it was odd that they just kept getting together, then breaking up between the games. Like, the adrenaline wore off, and then she realized they had nothing in common. So it's nice to see them cute. It's, I mean, it sucks, though, that, like, we do devolve into that cliche of, oh, I can't tell the wife because she wouldn't understand. Like, dude, this is your wife, and it's Elena, and she's had your back through not one, not two, but 3 globe-spanning adventures to uncover hidden treasure, face near death and certain danger, and you think that she's gonna be not okay with doing that, not just because, hey, there's treasure, let's get rich, but because we need to save your long-lost brother who you thought was dead. I don't fully agree with that notion. I don't like that, you know, he's just like, oh, it won't be like, I feel like that could have been done a little better. But yeah, I'm skipping straight to the Scotland segment because there's that whole bit where you infiltrate the auction, and there's some nice bits there, but it's not, it's like, it's decent, it's a decent mission, you know, I'm not fully into it. I just wanted to, of course, showcase here all of the secret treasures, because there isn't just the precursor egg, they've added other treasures into this one. So here, of course, we have, it's a firefly pendant from The Last of Us, right? When you're lost in the darkness, look to the light, or whatever the phrase is. Yeah. So I do really like this area a lot. Very cool, fun level design. And I mean, that's the one thing I can say for Uncharted 4. It has a grappling hook, right? There are very few games that were not improved by the addition of a grappling hook. Dark Souls added a grappling hook and called it Sekiro. Doom added a grappling hook. Uncharted added a grappling hook. Halo Infinite had to add a grappling hook, right? That's how it is. You add a grappling hook, it automatically gets better. And it does mean we get so many great verticality to the levels, like what they did with Sekiro and Elden Ring, because Elden Ring, they decided to turn down fall damage by like 90%. So I like that a lot in these levels. Lots of great, beautiful views and vistas. And I like the pirate stuff, right? There's no big curse on the treasure this time. They decided not to do that, which, looking back, was kind of a nice change of pace. It was a little annoying that, you know, every treasure had to have a curse on it. Like, it got a little predictable by that point to the end of Uncharted 3, but here they were like, you know this song and dance, let's not bother with that, you know it. So I like that it's pirate stuff and it's all about tests, right? Of course, my question is, like the question so many other people have raised, how is it inside this locked treasure vault that no one's been in for hundreds of years? We have like the modern day boxes with the wheels, right? Like, this game has a very big love for the caster wheels, the boxes that roll on the wheels. Like, I think you need to find yourself someone who loves you as much as Uncharted 4 loves its boxes with the rolling wheels. And of course we have Nadine. Nadine, played by the great Laura Bailey, of course. Shout out to Critical Role. And, of course, you know, she's South African in this one, right? The bad guys were, like, various South American, Mexican, Spanish amalgamations in Uncharted 1. Then it was the Russians in Uncharted 2. And we had, like, Middle Eastern and British people in Uncharted 3. And now, of course, course, we have to get to the South Africans in Uncharted 4. The South Africans. Yeah. But the villains in this one, they're pretty good. Of course, throughout most of the game, I was wondering, why do we have to fight? Like, this seems like there's enough treasure that we can get our little share to help pay off Sam's debt, and you guys can keep the rest. You know, like, we can all come out of this on top. Why are we fighting each other? But that is actually revealed later, like, oh, Sam actually has double-crossed them, so no wonder they hate him. So, yeah, that's actually a nice little thing. I give Uncharted 4 credit. There were a lot of issues and things I was reading on the game for when I was playing it the first time. Like how, you know, there's that old mission where you play as Sam, like, escaping from the prison. Like, I was thinking, not every sequence has to be a playable segment, Naughty Dog. Like, you know, that's great that you want to make it so immersive, but sometimes you can tone it down. And then I realized, like, when the deception's revealed later, we'll get to it, like, that was put in so you did really believe it a lot more. Oh, so it's actually secretly genius, so, you know, I rescind my criticism. But yeah, love this stretch here, you know, like, they definitely went all out with the action set-piece moments. There aren't nearly as many of them as there are in previous ones. Like Uncharted 3, despite its plot being a little weak, it had some of my favorite big moments here and there. So when they do happen in this game, they're pretty good. Just they are a little more far and few, unfortunately. But when we get to those moments where you're, like, you know, stealthing through the grass, grappling hook, plunging attack on a guy, and combat fighting and grabbing guns and everything and platforming, when you're in those moments, the game is, like, untouchable. That's the highlight for me. It's just there is a lot to get to those certain moments, unfortunately. Yeah, but I like it a lot. Yeah, so not the biggest fan of the first level with the auction and stuff. It's a little lengthy and not the greatest, but we get to the Scotland level, and of course it's in Scotland. It looks great. There's some fun little puzzles here and there. I like it. And then we get some nice gorgeous cliffs, and there's snow, and we get finally back to the classic escape sequence where you're kind of running and gunning and jumping and being chased. Yeah, I like it a lot. I always like, you know, the run and gun, the oh, screw this maneuver in these games. Where do I go again? Oh, there. Okay, there we go. Yeah. And I've always liked that, even if Uncharted can get a little frustrating with some of the combat sections, that, you know, the checkpoints are quite frequent, and you can do a plunging attack, because it's the most reliable move in the game. So, I like that. Also, I feel like the enemy encounters were a little bit better balanced in this than Uncharted 3. I felt in Uncharted 3, like, you got, like, literally swarmed. Like, there's a shield dude and an armor dude and, like, a sniper with grenades dude, and it's just insane. But here, I think it was a little better balanced in terms of, like, survivability. I don't think I've actually played through this game on crushing. If I did, I'd probably just cheese it, give myself infinite ammo and the one-shot revolver. Perhaps. But in any case, I like that. Like, I do like a little bit of a challenge with the game, but not, like, super much. Especially with the games where it just becomes a matter of memorizing enemy spawns. You know, that's how I feel some of the Call of Duty games end up in when you get to the higher difficulties. It's just, you know, memorize the attack pattern, the spawn points, and just get those guys in before, because otherwise you're screwed. Yeah, so I like that. And, you know, very gorgeous vistas, and there's the whole sliding down the rocks mechanic. That's a nice little thing, you know. It's just it's not anything super crazy and intense, but it's just enough of it to make you just a little bit on edge during those moments. So I like that. They really did go all out with the level design for this game. You know, these bitches slide down rocks, grapple hooking, dodging bullets, flying into water, swimming away. Yeah, that's what it's all about for me. That's nice when it happens. And you get a Jeep in this one, right? Because Last of Us had horses, so we have Jeeps in this one, right? Naughty Dog, they really like their horses, which they started doing in Uncharted 3. So there's the whole driving with the truck in the Madagascar segment. It's kind of nice, though, like, if it tries to introduce a whole open world thing to it, which I find a little odd. You know, there's been a couple times Naughty Dog's tried to do the open world element, and in the open world bit for Uncharted, it's just like, well, I can find some journals and some treasure, which is just bonus goodies, you know, it's not really incentivized. In Last of Us Part 2, they do it one moment in the game, and it's because you need to do it, because, like, otherwise you don't get the shotgun, and a shotgun is kind of an important thing to have in a zombie apocalypse. Yeah, but there's another game where the open world actually works nicely, and that's Lost Legacy. Yeah. And then, you know, I gotta shout out this clock tower segment, which is very nice. You know, some gorgeous views of the city, crystal clear, pristine graphics, a very fun platforming segment. Overall, definitely one of my favorite highlights of the game, and one of the better big puzzle areas that they've done. You don't actually have to go to the very top, right? But there is an achievement for it. Like, hey, I can see my house from here. And, yeah, gorgeous view ahead. Alright, gotta make sure I'm in the perfect spot for the trophy screenshot. There we go. So yeah, that's nice. What is it in Assassin's Creed? Synchronizing with the tower, I think. Or synchronizing the animus. I don't know, I've never really played Assassin's Creed that much. But, gorgeous moment, either way. Alright, now let's get on to what we were actually here for, right? Which is asking for whom that bell tolls for. Well, we don't need to ask, because it tolls for thee, obviously. Where is it again? It's, oh yeah, down here. Yeah, this is a nice bit because it's like a fun puzzle. Lots of that verticality again, a little bit of problem solving. And then it's a good build up to the epic action sequence that is going to follow. Oh, rip. Yeah. I like how, like, we've climbed up this whole tower, and we've, you know, done all this platforming and stuff, and then we just get to see it all totally fall down, with our intervention, because if destroying ancient ruins and artifacts was an Olympic sport, then Nathan Drake would certainly be one of the gold medal finalists. Alright. It's a very fun sequence of events. Nope, it just keeps going. We ain't out of the woods yet. Yeah, it's fun to see everything we climbed up for just all tumbling down like it's a big old Tower of Babel. Good job, Drake. Proud of you. But wait, there's more. So yeah, that's one way to open up the hidden passage. All that just to drop a bunch of gears on it. That was some Gears of War, eh? Hey. Yeah. So it's a fun bit, and then there's like the puzzle with like the pictures and everything, and you kind of get to learn a little more about the pirates. That's nice. course, it gets us to the big Madagascar chase sequence. Of course, this is my favorite moment in the game. Probably most people's favorite moment in the game. Why? Well, because it's just a badass action sequence. It feels very cinematic. Definitely the most cinematic movie-like part of most of the games. So we love that. And it's just an epic scene after we've had a bit of a fair stretch without much combat. You know, even the combat bits we had during the mountain climbing in Madagascar weren't really that big. Oh, out of ammo. Plus, of course, you know, we love when we get a good adversary with a big truck, right? It's usually a thing you have in Uncharted is you have like a big vehicle or some kind of powerhouse with a turret, and you know, you just have to go up against it and take it down, and you finally take it down, and it's like a ooh, hell yeah moment. So we definitely got lots of that in these games, and this is probably one of the best examples of it. Just a shame we don't get too many moments like that. Oh well, I'll take it. That's what I call the "I'll screw this" maneuver if I don't want to do melee combat. Just shoot with the gun. That's what the bullets are for. Oh, okay. I know buttons, I know controls, I know the best controls. Yeah, it was a bit that they showed off at the demo for the game, and in a way it was like a real good way to show off the demo, but also a bad way because like it's like, oh, I know where I'm going. It's like putting out the best song from the album out first, you know? Can I run you over? Yes, I can. Because, you know, it only gets worse from there. And that's how it is when they put this segment out first. Like, I don't feel like they didn't have as much marketing with this game, which is why I didn't really play it when it first came out. It wasn't until a couple years later I finally got into it. Oh, shoot, I know where I'm driving. Yeah, it's funny because the level like looks like it's a big open bit with lots of paths, but the game does a pretty good job of like, you know, sort of funneling you into the intended paths the way it wants with the truck. And the banner's always great. It's very inspired, I feel, by like that segment from the Adventures of Tintin, which I have not seen that movie, but I've seen that sequence, you know, where it's kind of done like it's one take. And obviously, you know, long takes in animation, not as difficult to pull off, but we still appreciate it when it happens, right? Like, yeah, it's one thing to do a long take for real, but having a long take, you know, where it does a good job of feeling like it's blended into one take is, I think, also nice if it works well and serves a good purpose. This is the part where I always get stuck on where to go. Where do I go again? This way. Yeah. Oh, no, I'm going right back through the center again. Oops. Oh, there it is. That's the way. I always like the line Sully has. I don't know where it's coming up yet, but something about how Nate, we can never come back here and yet. Add it to the list. Oh, yeah, it seems like the thing that, never come back to this city. Add to the list. Yeah, that seems like the kind of thing that Sully and Drake would have to keep track of. Yeah. And I mean, it's a nice truck. I like how you get all your mileage out of it with the 4x4 and the winch. So that's important too. Yeah, so very heavily inspired by that Tintin sequence because it's like a big one take going down like a big elevated area. And, you know, it's just like it's relentless, right? Like this truck driver, man, this guy really wanted his bonus. Like, I don't know if they were like holding competitions or bets onto like who could be the one to actually take down Nathan Drake. But if so, then like, yeah, this guy who's driving the truck, he really wanted that bonus, his Christmas bonus. All right. Oh yeah, that's one narrative thing I thought was a little weak. Oh, you hacked our phones. That's just something he does now. That is something I can do now. All right. Oh well. But it's okay. It leads to this epic moment. So I like that. Yeah, because it's just like great bits, but it's funny because as great as this sequence is, I feel like Lost Legacy actually one-upped it. There's my controversy of a hot take. I think I might like Lost Legacy more than Uncharted 4 because it's all the gameplay and all the style of Uncharted 4, but like condensed down into a much more breathable living space, not overdone. And yeah, now I have a grappling hook and I'm grappling on it. I don't know. This is the type of sequences I feel like 90s James Cameron would devise. Remember 90s James Cameron when he made True Lies? That's definitely a bit of a dated movie in some elements, but damn, does it have some very fun, entertaining, and well-designed sequences. And we also got to give a shout-out to Strange Days, which is directed by Catherine Bigelow, with the story by James Cameron, so kind of a collab between them. That's a very underrated movie, I feel. Yeah, now we're being dragged by this truck. Totally not like getting a bad rope burn or scarrings. And you definitely do have unlimited ammo in this segment, but that's okay. I feel like this game... no, not anymore, because the game wants me to climb up the thing. Oh, okay, calm down. Okay, hey, easy. Easy, girl. I feel like this game has a better justification for randomly giving you infinite ammo. I don't like how Last of Us Part 2 just randomly does it a couple times. Like, Last of Us Part 2 isn't the type of game to be a big shooty game, because that just makes sense. But then when it does randomly decide to do that, it feels a little odd and, like, out of character. Could you guys... All right. Yeah. Jump. Oh, no, jump forward with the... Oh, God. I was cutting it a little close there, I think. It's the part I always screw up is like, okay, heal. It's the part I always screw up in the games where you're jumping from the trucks, is when you gotta jump off the truck. It usually always kills me the first time. But that's okay. Yeah, so then we have the classic, riding around in a truck with a driver who just simply doesn't hit the brakes. He just keeps on going. Alright, but that's okay. There's some fun bits indeed. No, I need you to get a little closer, please, so I can... Fine, you know what? I'm taking this guy's truck instead. You're mine. But now it's great because, like, I'm actually driving the truck. I'm not just, like, hopping off of horses. There's trucks involved, too, so I like that. Gorgeous scenery and vistas. Yeah, like, I don't know if they could, like, put this into a movie, but if they could, that'd be great. There was, like, there was one other sequence I was trying to think of in something I saw in the last couple of years, where I was just like, is this the truck from Uncharted 4? I don't know if it was like in Falcon and the Winter Soldier or something. For some reason, that's the first place my mind goes to, but maybe that's because I'm thinking that Captain America, the first Avenger, has the train sequence from Uncharted 2. Perhaps. It's kind of funny how, like... Oh, that was a bad call. Kind of funny how ever since Uncharted 2, that's just become my benchmark standard for train sequences. But then there was a train sequence that I think topped it, and that's in Lost Legacy, but we'll get to that. That's another game. I feel like Lost Legacy was all killer, no filler, and the little bits of filler that it had were, like, acceptable. Like, I basically beat that game in, like, 2 sessions, essentially, but I was okay with that. Like, I don't know, I don't feel like that wasn't fair. I don't feel that games need to be, like, big, giant, 20-hour epics if they're like a narrative story game. If it's like a big open world, like, take it at your own pace game, that's a little bit different. Because the plot can be allowed to meander a little more, like Elden Ring. That's okay. But for those narrative story games, like Uncharted, I feel like they suffer a little bit from a lack of a proper pace, or Last of Us Part 2. I don't know, that's just my opinion. No need to go spreading it around. And, I kind of miss playing some of the... Whoa, you were really dedicated, man. Jesus. He's another guy who really wants to... Oh, these guys are jumping off of bikes. This is crazy. Yeah, I don't know, I kind of miss some of the older games where, like, you could just beat them in a couple of nights or, like, over a weekend, and they were short and concise. I don't know. It's a little nostalgic. I just don't like how if I go to play a new game, I've got to essentially be ready to commit a whole month to it. And maybe that's because I just don't have as much time for gaming. Like, I don't know how these people do it. Like, they're just like, yeah, a giant game came out, and I played through it, and recorded it, and I edited it, and I made a video on it in, like, 2 days. Like, I would literally die if I had to do all that in 2 days. There's no way I could do that. So essentially what I'm saying is, when that Elden Ring DLC eventually does come out, I will make a video on it, but it's going to take a bit of time, This is me trying to distract my brain from the fact that we're at nearly 2 years since the game came out, and a year since that supposed expansion announcement happened, and we've heard zilch squat, except for, like, guys, look, I saw some tiny-ass little update, I think it's really finally happening. I mean, I do like these guys that they actually wanted to, like, figure it out. That's fair. Yeah, and it all comes down to the vehicle crashing, and then, okay, what's happening now? Well, Mr. Truck Dude, he is still here once again, but it's okay, we got a motorcycle. Now it's just like when we were kids, but we're not kids and we're taking down a truck. I've never tested it if, like, you actually don't need to fire at the truck. Kind of like how in Mass Effect 3 you actually don't need to shoot the Reaper when you're on the turret. You can just literally watch it and lollygag your way to the beam. BioWare ain't the best at those set-piece moments. They got nothing on Naughty Dog. But yeah, this is just one of those moments where you're playing it, you've been doing this for like 20 minutes, you're just yelling out, just die already, man. And you're into it, the adrenaline is pumping, and finally you're like, you're gonna make it. Are we gonna make it? And we have this epic dodge here, explosions, and it just makes you want to go, heck yeah, baby, yeah. Like Data in Star Trek Next Generation, Genesis, right? Or Generations. Yes. Even just, like, watching this sequence gets me pumped. That's how great of a moment it is. So yeah, after that, of course, there was the whole Drake trying to explain to Elena, oh yeah, you're my wife, and, like, we've been on this globe-trotting adventure, like, 3 different times. Yeah, I totally didn't tell you about it, and she rightfully considers dumping his ass right then and there. Ugh. Like, yeah, this is the part that's tough, is you have to actually jump before the icon shows up. And then, what do we have here? Well, that's where the strange relic would be, but, oh yeah, there we go. Gotta pose for this trophy screenshot. The precursor egg. Yay. Classic strange relic, alright. Always gotta shout out that one. Oh, I'd love to play the Jack games again. That'd be fun. And so yeah, we go through, what's the place called again? Like the Pirate Haven, right, where they all pooled their treasure. But then, what do you know? One of them got greedy, right? You cheated, pirate. Yeah. The place here, we get gorgeous views and climbing. Very nice bit. I haven't showcased all of it because it is mostly just, stealth and combat and things like that. I didn't really show many stealth moments in this video, but I do like the stealth in Uncharted 4. It is an improvement over Uncharted 3, because you have like the stealth meters sort of to see when you've been spotted. It does seem a little odd how you can like just tag enemies and remember their position, but hey, it works, so it's nice, let's just accept it. I like that it's a gameplay mechanic where they don't feel the need to over-explain it. Where do I go again? Oh, that down more? Well, let's just give it a try, shall we? There, that way. There we go. Falling through a burning building. Buildings that are falling over from RPG fire. Classic Uncharted. I like it. Yeah. I like how there's a trophy for going through 2 whole levels without killing anyone. Pretty crazy. I've never managed to do that trophy. It always glitches on me. It's annoying. Yeah, the stealth is nice. The only thing, though, that I wish they could have done, as I don't think it's a thing where, like, that once you get spotted, you can go back into stealth. I like how in Last of Us Part 2, if you do get spotted, you can actually, like, lose the enemy. Obviously it's a Metal Gear thing. I don't like how in Uncharted 2 and 3, once you were spotted, essentially it was, okay, everyone magically knows where you are again. Or actually, I don't know, can you go back into stealth in this game? I think you can. It's been a long time between me recording this footage and editing it, and actually getting my ass down to the microphone to record the audio for it. I think I recall that being a thing. I don't know, but I do know it's a thing in The Last of Us Part 2. That's the other thing The Last of Us Part 2 has over Part 1 is the level design, and like the layout. I feel like in Last of Us Part 2, like if you get spotted, you may as well restart from checkpoint because you'll be faced with so many guys. They know where you are. You're going to use all your ammo, all your health kits, and you won't have any of it for the next fight, and you'll be screwed. And like they just keep coming. The enemies don't stop. Clown car piling out of areas. But in Last of Us Part 2, the level design accounts for more movement and mobility. You have these encounters that take place across several city blocks with like going in and out of buildings and multiple ways to move around and strategize. And you can go back into stealth and then sneak around and get the element of surprise. I enjoyed that so much more than Part 1. Also, you get a silencer for your pistol. That's good. So here we have Nadine, and wow, Nate has a safe word. Okay, so he's into some kinky stuff. We definitely know he's a bottom, that's for sure. Yeah, so Nadine, of course, Laura Bailey, is she a little too OP? Yeah. And it's not the fact that she is a woman, okay? I ain't gonna go on some rant about how this is some woke nonsense game, okay? It's purely from the fact that there is an adversary whom you literally have to lose to twice, and you don't even get a single hit on her. I don't know, I feel like there could have been a better way to design this fight, like maybe if you did a little bit better, like you got an alternate cutscene or something, kind of like how in those fights in Souls games where you're supposed to lose, that like there's an alternate cutscene boss or a goodie or something. I just don't like that, like, the game makes you fight her to force you to lose. But yeah, I'm not sure exactly what I would have done to fix this boss fight, but I just feel like it could have been done a little better. Never the biggest fan of the you're forced to lose them fights, and this just exemplifies that. It's like, why even bother? Like, again, I get the whole idea is we want more gameplay, right? More gameplay is better, but here, like, why am I even bothering, right? Like, no matter what I lose, and I literally can't do anything, I tackle her, and then that's it, Maybe like a Genichiro Ashina situation, where, like, the first time you get your ass kicked, the second time you do it a little better. I'm not certain exactly, but, whatever it is, this ain't it. Oh well, that was never really the strong point of Uncharted games. It's just, it's a little odd, right? When I've kicked the ass of so many guys before, and now here the two of us, we barely get a hit on. I mean, I guess we technically do get the upper hand at the end of this fight. It's better than before, but I don't know. And then, of course, we've got the odd line coming up about, these guys don't kill in cold blood. What? What? It's such an odd moment. Yeah, here we go, coming up, and we have Rafe. Rafe's actually a pretty good villain. I like him. He's a spoiled Nepo baby kind of guy, right? Had everything handed to him over on a silver platter. Didn't have to work for anything, but we did, right? And kind of a nice solution to the whole standoff, right? It's just not their style. Do you know how many dudes I've bear hugged to death from behind on this island alone? Like, that'd be funny if, like, you could pacifist the game, but you can't. I don't know, it means cold blood, like, as in, like, that, we don't kill unless we're attacked. But, I don't know. Still, though, it's a nice change of pace from the Mexican standoff of, hey, if you put the gun down, I'll let this person go. And they say, no, don't do it. And then they do it anyways. Right? Yeah. I guess you underestimated us, but what do you know? That's how it is. Don't mess with the Drakes. And yeah, this is a very nice cutscene and a tense moment. And again, I like how this scene alone really does recontextualize so much of the game. Because again, up until this point, I thought, like, do we really need to be at each other's throats? Did they need to send all these guys to come after and kill me? Can we work something out? Why did I need to play that whole long section at the beginning where I was escaping from the prison under the Salazar something? Though, like, I don't know how big this Salazar guy is, but, like, do you think a simple Google search on him would have shown that he was dead? I don't know. Yeah, so it's a nice twist. I like it, legit. Oh, Alcazar, not Salazar. That's, Pirates of the Caribbean 5. Jack Sparrow. So, yeah, it's pretty good. They haven't really done much for, like, big twists like that in the games before. It's kind of just everything is what it is, and then the twist is typically, by the way, zombies, or the abominable snowman, or Ghost Rider. So, kind of fun that the big twist was, oh, actually, he just really wanted us to go after the treasure, and, complex characters, good themes and dynamics. These are the bits where the games are at their highlight, where we're getting into those big emotional moments, and we're getting less bogged down by unnecessarily lengthy gameplay segments, Yeah. And again, like, playing that segment earlier, it's nice because it makes you really believe, like, oh, we played this in a gameplay segment, so it has to be real. If he had just simply told us this story, we could have been like, who who's this Hector Alcazar guy. I think he's a little sus, this story. So, yeah, that's pretty good. And, he screwed up everything, and he's ruined his marriage. Yeah, it's definitely a very low point, right? And it's nice that after this low point, we get sort of brought back up out of it. There's a lot of climbing in the next part of the game. And it's good old school Uncharted with Elena. I do feel that the stretch maybe goes on a little bit too long. But there's lots of good moments in it. We get some pretty good environments and great set-piece moments and just fun combat in general, because there's so much more verticality with having the grappling hook. So I really like that a lot. The only thing I don't like, as one of my least favorite moments of the entire series, is the flashback segment that comes up after this bit, because we're in the momentum, we're in the zone, we're in the story, and then they decide, hey, by the way, y'all remember how we totally told you in Uncharted 3 that Drake is not his actual last name? Well, guess what? We're gonna make you play through a whole boring level where you pick up and look at things, and it doesn't serve any purpose. Just to reveal the plot twist at the end that, guess what? His name was not actually Drake, and he took that name for himself. Yeah, I really don't like that segment. It just totally, kills the pacing, kills the momentum. I feel it way over extravagant. I feel like this was the beginning of Naughty Dog getting way too much of a love of non-linearity for the sake of it. Something they definitely threw out a lot of in Last of Us Part 2. That's for sure. Yeah. Last of Us Part 2, the non-linearity kind of worked, because through Ellie's story, it's like you're constantly thinking that she never forgave Joel, and that's what it's about, and then she remembers, no wait, I did make peace with him, and I did solve that, right? It's kind of a fun bit. Yeah, but so I don't like that flashback bit. It's totally at the wrong place. But this bit here, we gotta shout out this bit. It's a very nice bit, right? We've been through a lot of battles, a lot of intense bits, and now we have this bit to just enjoy the view. And there's the optional conversations, which I don't like, though, because they got that from Last of Us, and then they kept that going, and I don't like that, because it feels like the game has two conflicting messages, right? Like, on one hand, if I don't find the puzzle right away, the game sort of angrily, Sonic idle animation taps its foot at me and points me to where I need to go. But on the other hand, if I want the proper character development, I'm supposed to just hang around and stare at walls until my AI companion decides, hey, by the way, would you like me to share the lore of this land to you? So I don't like that. I like here, though, that while it may be quote-unquote optional, it's right there. It's very impossible to miss. And you can just kind of sit here chilling at the view, taking it all in, for better or worse. So it's a very nice moment, and I'm glad that it's a bit that gets Drake really humbled. Like, yeah, maybe I should have trusted my badass wife, who I've been on 3 death-defying adventures with before. Might have been a good idea, Yeah, so it's nice. It's very real, Definitely an upgrade in terms of character writing than just simply, hey, let's have the hot chick and the hot guy flirt. Maybe they'll end up together and kiss at the end of the story. A very mature experience. So I like that. Again, I may seem like I'm being overly negative towards the game. It's just, for me, this is not a 10 out of 10 game. It's like, maybe an 8.5. Almost a 9. It's somewhere in that range. There's just a couple little things, I think, I feel like we got the extended cut of this game, if that makes sense. Like, we got the extended cut, not the theatrical version. So, I don't know, it's strange. Normally I prefer extended cuts. And this bit's nice, you know, the sound effects kind of fade away. There's just music, it's very chill. It allows you to sort of ponder and think about things. This is definitely one of those good cases for video games are art moments. You know, the bits like these, if you do a very tasteful, just chill bit that allows you to think about things, like a lot of the stuff in Nier Automata, really liked the way that game blended the artistic and the video game elements. So, yeah, it's a very nice bit. I have nothing but good things to say about it. And, you know, of course there will be a bit of action coming up, as there always is, but it's nice to have a chill moment like that. Yeah, if I had to give the games, like, numbers ratings, I mean, Uncharted 2 is pretty perfect for me personally, so that one is probably like a 10 out of 10. And then, like, Uncharted Drake's Fortune, it's definitely a game that sticks better in my mind than how it actually is, so that one's maybe closer to like a 6.5, 7 out of 10. I think at the time I played it, it was probably an 8 out of 10, but it's kind of hard to go back to that one, seeing how much better it got with Uncharted 2. Uncharted 3, a lot of great bits to it. Definitely some flaws in the plot that I don't really care for, but overall it's a fun experience that I've enjoyed many times. So Uncharted 3, I'll probably give that one, like, again, an 8.5 or a 9, which is about what I'd give this one, 8.5 or a 9. But Uncharted Lost Legacy, like, in terms of an Uncharted game, ooh, that one was pretty up there. Like, that one would also be like a pretty close 9 for me. Of course, if we're doing, like, comparing to all of the games that I've ever played, like, then the number of perfect 10 out of 10s actually gets quite small. You know, there's my top 5, those are all 10s, but are there any games outside of that that are perfect 10s? Well, no, not really, right? Like, even if I break it down by franchise, like, Dead Space 2 is a 10, Dead Space 1 and Dead Space 3, those are probably like 9s or 8.5s. The Dead Space remake is a 9. Yeah. And, aw, that's a nice moment. I was afraid of losing you. Oh, he did it to protect her, but also you can't just shut her out, and protecting myself. Oh, that's nice. A lot of sweet moments. This couple, definitely one of my favorite ships. That's for sure. I like how they've grown a lot better than just the simply hooking up for the adrenaline between games, right? Yeah. And of course, always gorgeous views in the Uncharted games. So now, there's a lot more combat and events that take place. And there's some cool set pieces and locations, like more of the pirate fortress. Of course, we're uncovering the story the same way it happened to the pirates, that the treasure of Libertalia got moved, and it turns out that Avery was a double-crossing no-gooder. And who's the other main one? Thomas 2, I believe. Yeah, so that makes sense, and there's some nice bits where we're fighting through, like, the ship graveyard, but it's mostly just, like, big enemy encounters, so we don't really need to bog the video down with more endless shootings of bad guys. It is, I think, like, that's the final big combat encounter, because after that there's just more platforming. And ooh, that was close. And here, of course, we have the final strange relic, and it is, of course, a pose for the camera, the Wampa fruit from Crash Bandicoot. So it was kind of fun to see Naughty Dog acknowledge all of the other video games that they've been a part of, that they've created. I don't think I was supposed to do that, but I ain't questioning it. Yeah, that was close. Again, I do really love this stretch here, because, again, just so much verticality, and they've added this little, like, pike tool thing you can use to, like, extra divots in these bits where the holding isn't as good, and you get some absolutely spectacular, gorgeous views and vistas, right? Like, hard to rank the most precarious of Uncharted ledges that you've done. It definitely seems much more than the small potatoes that, like, Uncharted 1 was. But I do really love it indeed. So this is definitely some of the most precarious ones, like with the big cliffs and the gorgeous views, and the pike adds a little extra element, and there's the grappling hook. It's really nice. Couple of a little too many lengthy gameplay sections though, like, there's this whole bit where after you've done the battle, you have like a bunch of meandering around, like, just rummaging through a village only to get separated. Like, I think some of it could have been cut down. There's a pacing issue. Again, director's cut. Yeah, so I love all these bits here, and I don't know if it's like total BS that you like have a bit where you like do the grappling hook and then in midair do it, but it's okay because again, awesome moments, right? Totally worth it. So yeah, we like all that. That is good indeed. And yeah, I do like this stretch as well because, like, we've been with companions for the most part of the game at this point. So then we finally get to this stretch where, like, it feels like just everything's more quiet, more chill. And that gets us to the big pirate ship with all of the treasure hidden on it, right? All the treasure was loaded onto this boat and they were about to leave. But why didn't they leave? I don't know. But in any case, explosions are happening, and that's how it is. Everything goes to heck, and it all comes down to this. And also shout out to Rafe's hair. It was a look I always wanted to be able to pull off, which was like the slicked back hair with a couple of random strands, but like, it never worked for me. Because I didn't want to take the effort to put in all the gel and hairspray, and it would just come down in like not a good way. And yeah, just didn't like it. Oh well, I went with the Cowardly Lion hair. It was the next best alternative. So yeah, now of course we have the final showdown, and it's pretty fun. Final battle, gotta say. Uncharted has never really been one for the boss fights. They've kind of just been sort of there, serviceable. I feel like the best one at this point had been the Lazarevich fight, because there was actually like a bit of tension and skill to it, the trees slowly exploding, and you do actually have to do some gameplay to it, rather than just Navarro in 1, and Talbot in 3. Not really fans of those moments, but at least Talbot had the epicness of occurring on a giant city that was sinking into the desert. So that's cool. But this one, I guess, is probably the best one because, we're fighting against a guy who is like kind of our alter evil version. There's the ticking time bomb of the ship flooding and about to explode, and we're trying to rescue our brother. And yeah, the thematicness of, it's Avery and 2, the final 2 pilots, right? They got here to the treasure, and they just died. So Nadine made the smart choice, which is to remove herself from the equation. Yeah. Great line, great moment. And it's a fun fight, you gotta, like, parry, right? It's a good thing I play a lot of Dark Souls. This has been training me for this moment. And, I do also like that Drake's main concern is saving his brother. At this point, I kind of wonder, though, like, is Sam worth it? Like, they literally had an out, and he becomes so obsessed with it that he goes back in after they're already safe. Like, god dang it, Sam. I'm gonna find him so I can save him so I can kill him myself, right? So, yeah. I also like how if you try to attack him mid-monologue, he says okay, where was I? And his monologue is kind of nice. Yeah. He's like, yeah, you interrupted me, okay? I'm monologuing, man. You sly dog, you got me monologuing. But yeah, it's funny how he talks about all of your accomplishments and all of your things, right? And everything he did was just given to him, because he's got some rich boy inheritance or something like that, and they've always mocked him about it because he just has daddy's money. Yeah. We kind of see how it all comes to that, and this also kind of prior explains, oh, okay, so Rafe actually really hates us, so maybe that's also why he wouldn't have been willing to just work with us so we all get a benefit, right? Prisoner's dilemma and all that. So I like that. That's good. There was another point I wanted to make. Oh yeah, I get why I'm annoyed at Sam, because we literally had it out and he went back in. But also, I guess he's meant to be the new Nathan in this, right? Normally we would be the one that would, no, we're keeping going no matter what, right? But even in Uncharted 3, Drake reached a point where it wasn't about going after the treasure, it was entirely about saving Sully. I feel like at this point Sam has just gone beyond that point. So, yeah. Yeah, oh well. I mean, that's how it is, though. There is some great bit to that, and that's how Sam is actually a surprise character who shows up in Lost Legacy, which somehow I'd seen a clip of you in a Jeep in Lost Legacy, and I heard him talking. Somehow I managed to block that from my mind, so it was a plot twist that he was in it. So, yeah, it's a fun fight, and I like how it gets more intense as it ramps up. The attacks get more difficult to figure out. I think if you do this on crushing difficulty, every hit's a one-hit kill, which would technically make sense, so that's kind of nice. I like that. Yeah, just, two dudes battling it out in a fiery area. Like it was the end of The Northman or something. Remember The Northman? That was a great movie. I am so hyped for Robert Eggers to do the Nosferatu movie. Because there was that whole thing that he, wasn't gonna do it anymore. But now he is. And people are all annoyed that Anya Taylor-Joy isn't in it. And I guess, yeah, but, I'm sure whoever he casts is still gonna be good. And, of course, Willem Dafoe. That's great. Yeah, so, that's Hype Train. And Hype Train for Doom Part 2. What else is coming out this year? I don't know. We'll see. The Oscars are coming out. I gotta do a video on the Oscar-nominated movies. I've almost seen all of them, and you know what? Actually, looking back on it, it was a pretty good year for film. I think I seemed a little pessimistic in my top 10 films, but that's because I've had 2 new movies that would have made it that I have seen since then. It's just they did not have a full wide release before the end of the year, because that's how these things are. And that's The Zone of Interest and Society of the Snow, both movies that really blew me away. That was the kind of unique energy I'd been looking for throughout the year. So, yeah. And, yeah. Drake, you ain't really gonna believe that, are ya? Maybe you will. But, yeah, no, of course not. And, this here is definitely a brutal villain death. I'm trying to think, is every villain killed by the treasure in this? Let's see. I don't think so. I think not Talbot, right? Yeah. It's what? That, Navarro, he gets dragged down by the El Dorado statue. Okay, that counts. Lazarevich gets killed by getting too much of the tree sap. That's nice. So here's his good monologue about it. I've earned this, right? Not Talbot, though, you just simply shoot him. But here, he is literally crushed under the weight of his treasure. Yeah, you want the treasure so bad. Okay, you've earned it. Damn, Nate, that was brutal. Oh, wow. Though, hey, we finally got Drake to kill an American. Yay. Yahtzee should be proud. It's funny because he just wanted it to happen, right? And it finally did. But yeah, that wraps up like the majority of the game, but not entirely, of course, because it's Naughty Dog game, and 2010's Naughty Dog now needs to have a giant extended epilogue for every game because Metal Gear Solid 4 did it, so now they have to do it, you know? And yeah, come on, there's gotta be a way. Remember what Jack Sparrow, legendary pirate, once said? Captain Jack Sparrow. Leverage, right? That's actually a pretty clever way, I think, how he figures it out. So that's cool. Yeah. Like, I don't know, maybe it's just busy. I don't have time for long games anymore, you know? And also making videos on games can be a little exhausting because, like, then I'm not playing the game to play the game. I'm playing the game to make content, and it's kind of a different vibe the way I think about these things, you know? I don't know, that's how I feel, right? That's just the way the world is, you know? You don't make art, you don't make videos, you make content, right? Did it for the content. I don't really like that. I mean, that's how I make videos. I make videos because I want to, and I make them on subjects I want to, and I say what I want, right? I don't really make them for anyone else. I make them for me. And if people are into that sort of honesty about those sorts of things, then that's good. And yeah, this is a nice final bit, you know, just a big swim to the end. I do wonder if it's a bit where you could fail, though. Naughty Dog is pretty good at having sequences where you can actually fail them. But there's a little bit of player input required, you know, it's not BioWare, right? Lollygagging your way down to the beam, and Harbinger's attacking you, Mass Effect 3, am I right? Yeah. So, that's it. We did it. Hooray. I'm trying to remember, no, they don't play it off as a, did they make it? Like, yeah, it's clear they made it. And yeah, I do like the extended epilogue, though, because it is a better sense of finality. Like, there was that seemingly sense of finality at the end of Uncharted 3, you know, they kind of did the whole, it ends where it begins sort of things, with them getting on a plane and getting together and making a joke about the parachutes, right? It's like poetry, it rhymes. But then they really decided with this one to make it a final ending, and that's a very fun mountain, you know. I like that mountain. It's a nice mountain. It's just a good landmark to have. Like Dark Souls. Every game is like Dark Souls, by the way. Just saying. Yeah, I guess, though, if I was gonna compare it to 2016 games, I would have preferred Dark Souls 3. Dark Souls 3, that's like a 9.5 out of 10, I think, for me. Maybe. Bloodborne's a 10. And, Elden Ring is, currently it's a 10. On the way to the DLC, though. Whenever that may actually be. You know, it's gonna be February, guys. It's gonna be for this 2-year anniversary, I swear. You know, what's next? Hollow Knight Silk Song is gonna get announced. Please. You know, Hollow Knight Silk Song is the Half-Life 3 of our generation, am I right? Yeah, I don't know if I actually needed to put all of these cutscenes here for the video, but it pads out the length, I guess, so we're just gonna roll with that because I did. Alright, we still got, what, 20 more minutes of video? Jesus, what was I thinking? His stage name, Nate the Great. he was a magician. There's the Mission Impossible crossover, right? I like how in the new Mission Impossible, Tom Cruise got to do his magic tricks again with stuff. That was fun. Oh yeah, and are we supposed to get Mission Impossible 8 Dead Reckoning Part 2 this year? Or is that a whole other extra year? I would hope it's this year, but like, I don't know, like it seems like they filmed them back to back because two of the biggest promotional things they did, which was like him hanging off that plane and him doing the jump out of the helicopter while giving everyone the Happy Holidays video. Neither of those were in Dead Reckoning Part 1. So I don't know. I just hope it's a little better though. Definitely was a little disappointed with Dead Reckoning. Overall, it's a very well-made, well-shot movie, but it just did not hit me the same way the last couple Mission Impossible movies have, and I did not get that Impossible Mission vibe from it, you know? Oh well. Yeah, back to Uncharted. Yeah, so again, I know it sounds like I'm being negative, but I do really like this game. I just feel that, like, there's stuff that I'm not as fully on board with that everyone is a-okay with, right? And so I feel like I need to point that out because it's something other people aren't pointing out, or they're turning a blind eye to, or maybe it just doesn't bother them as much as it bothers me. And it is how I feel about the last several Naughty Dog projects, so I'm not really sure if they've been progressing in the right direction. I don't know what they've got planned. We did just get Last of Us Part 2 remastered, which was a pretty predictable thing. I mean, that's how it is. If the console generation is about to end, they put out a Last of Us game, and then a couple years later into the life cycle of that new console that just came out, they put out a remastered one. Though it is crazy to think that the PS5 is going to be 4 years old at this point, right? And like, I got my PS5 in 2021, so that'll be 3 years old. Like, this would be the equivalent of when I got a PS3, which would have been like, I want to say, I didn't think I got my PS3 until 2008, like around when Dead Space and Resistance 2 came out. And yeah, then there was still 5 years from that till the PS4. I don't know, it's kind of crazy, but as usually how it is, I've never actually been, like, there to get the new console on day one. You know, I had a PS1 growing up. I didn't get the PlayStation 2 until a couple of years afterwards, I want to say. Can't think exactly off the top of my head what year it would have been. But let's see. I played Star Wars Battlefront, the original one, which was 2004 on it. So it would have been before then. The PlayStation 2 came out in 2000. There was a couple years of waiting, I think, on that. Yeah. The PlayStation 3. Yeah, I didn't get that until 2008, because I remember playing Guitar Hero 3, which was 2007, on the PlayStation 2. And then the PlayStation 4, I didn't get that until 2016. And that was mainly for Doom, Rainbow Six Siege, and I played Dark Souls 2, Scholar of the First Sin on that. And then we have the PS5, which I got in 2021, mainly for Demon's Souls Remake and Returnal. Yeah, and that's where we're at. So I guess the process of me deciding to go in for the new console has sped up. But I think a big part of that with the PS5 was the fact that it had the backwards compatibility with PS4. That was what put me off from the PS4 for so long. Why am I going to buy a console that doesn't have any games, right? At least with the PS5, you have all the PS4 games, and it shares the library. That should have been a thing from the start. Like, can you imagine if they had just kept that going from the PS3 era onwards? I would have loved that. But things to stretch out the time and pad it out with, right? Normally I save these rants for the end credits, but then I realized I didn't need to put the entirety of a video game's end credits when it takes up 40% of the video because of how long they are. But yeah, they finally went and got the permits for this Malaysia job, and now we're gonna do it legit, and yeah, this is a nice send-off in that way, so that's good. I like that a lot. Very nice. Nice to see them working together, doing it legit. Elena kind of showing Drake, you see, this is how it's done. Oh, okay. Yeah, how can we afford this? We got a couple of goodies, you know, from the thing. Always that thing, you know, someone grabbed a couple of hands of coins from the thing. That's nice. That's the trick, right? Always gotta do that. You know, they never get the whole treasure, but they just get a little handful of goodies, but it's enough. Though, I gotta say, Treasure Planet did that trope first and much better. Can we talk about Treasure Planet? Like, I saw there was this thing going around that was like, like on Instagram, like circle your 5 favorite Disney movies, and like, Treasure Planet wasn't even on there. I was tempted to just take it, repost it, cross out the entire list, and just put a big ol' poster or Treasure Planet over it, like, this should be on here. Though at least they had Atlantis Lost Empire on there. That's a little more than I think it could deserve credit for. You know, yeah, the 2000s was a strange time for animated movies, right? Before the dark times, before the late 2000s of Disney, and now they're just indistinguishable from Pixar, which kind of sucks, but I just watched Turning Red. That was a fun movie. I liked it. Had some good parts to it. Pretty funny. And I got to see a kaiju red panda, so that's fun. Yeah, pretty enjoyable. This cutscene is still going. I definitely did not need to put the entirety of this in the video, and so I'm ranting about whatever I feel like now, but that's okay because that's what you guys are into, right? I guess. It actually amazes me sometimes when people will post a specific comment or reply to a specific thing I said, like, you actually, like, watched the video and you, like, listened to what I said and, like, actively replied to it. I did not think I was worthy of and deserving of such attention, but thank you very much. That's nice. It's good to hear. Someone cares, apparently. Right? And don't have to do your paperwork, yeah. Don't forget your paperwork, Wazowski. Yeah. So, that was Uncharted 4, A Thief's End, and I certainly hope it is the end, because we have what is coming up, a pretty conclusive ending. Like, the only way they could do anything more over this game is if Nathan changed his name to Joel, and, like, they moved to, like, Texas or something, because, like, yeah, a scale of 11, right? Yeah, that's my headcanon theory, is that Uncharted is all a prequel for Last of Us. And, of course, though, here's the real proper ending. We're playing Crash Bandicoot again, and this time you actually can beat Elena's record. You just need to make sure you get all the boxes and all the Wampa fruits, because this time one of the boxes has been changed to a extra life, which is the one you need to give you enough bonus points to push you over the edge of her score. So, love that they brought this back. I think it's definitely an achievement that people think is one of the hardest ones. I'm not sure if I actually got it on this run. I really hope I did, because that would be quite poetic indeed, and it's all those years of Crash Bandicoot, Warped, and Wrath of Cortex coming in handy. I actually played those recently. I don't know if I would make make a video on it because does anyone want to watch Crash Bandicoot ASMR? I'm not sure, and they even came out with a new one, like the real Crash 4, and I still haven't played it. It's weird. I always get so hyped for certain games and I don't play them. Like, I still haven't played Doom Eternal, and that game's 4 years old, and I was so hyped for it, and it was so sad it kept getting delayed, and I just haven't played it. Very strange. Oh, did we did it? Did we did it? Oh, by 4 points. We did it. Wow. Yep, best achievement of the game right there. And of course, what is the big revelation? Well, turns out we were actually playing as Nate and Elena's daughter. And they have a cute doggo. That's cute. Even if something about the animation looks a little strange. Is there like a uncanny valley for dogs? Is that a thing? I don't know, something about the dog looks a little off. And yeah, so we are now their daughter with the epilogue segment because of course, you know, right? Yep. There's the whole thing, the mechanic, like, yep, I can pick it up and I can move it around a tiny bit, which does not provide any new or useful information. It actually is useful like 4 times in the whole game. I don't like it. Yeah, and again, Naughty Dog's obsession with creating gameplay segments for every sequence, right? Could it have been a cutscene? Maybe. And there's a very lengthy bit where you wander around 2 beach houses to uncover goodies about them. And, you know, it's kind of nice, though it's fun when you open up the cabinet and there's like the little mementos and memorabilia of all the different adventures. Though I would have expected Drake to have a bit of a dad bod by now. Just saying, we like our thick boys. But yeah, this is the prequel to The Last of Us because this game ends with you playing as a teenager or a young girl walking around a house, picking up objects when your dad returns home. And then Last of Us starts with you as a young girl walking around a house, picking up objects until your dad comes home, right? Yeah, I do think it's, I mean, I don't know, this is a girl, she seems at an age, like, were they trying to actively, like, hide their stories from her? I don't know, it seems a little odd, like, just, like, this is something we weren't ever gonna tell her, yeah, then they just sort of like, alright, let's just tell her, I guess. It seems a little thing, you know, kind of very like, kids, I'm gonna tell you an amazing story. This is the story of how I met your mother. Oh god, I just realized that's what all the Uncharted games actually are. It's Indiana Jones meets How I Met Your Mother. It's like, maybe that's why everything was actually so over the top and crazy. Maybe what we actually played in all of the Uncharted games was, like, meant to be, like, the retelling of the story. So perhaps it wasn't all that cool, and the characters weren't all that quippy, and they didn't survive as many, like, near-death experiences. Maybe what we actually played was, like, some hyper-stylized story that they were telling their daughter as, like, a bedtime story. It was a literal movie night. Like, y'all remember that Sony commercial for Uncharted 2, where, like, it's the one guy, he's playing, like, Uncharted 2 with his girlfriend, and she keeps thinking that, like, that it's a movie, and it's like, it's been 2 days, and she walks in with the popcorn, okay, honey, it's time to watch the movie. So, if you've survived all of these games, here's a fun fact for you. I actually have treated Uncharted like a movie night with my wife. You know, I wanted to show her what Uncharted was like. So I said, okay, we're going to play Uncharted 2 as a movie night. Okay, you're going to sit and watch me play the game because it's literally a movie. And we did that for all of the Uncharted games. So much so to the point that she got me Uncharted 4 as like a Christmas gift, and her hint for what the gift was that it was a movie night. And I didn't put 2 and 2 together, and I thought that was so clever. And she also bought me beer. That's good, you know. Sorry, I'm bragging a bit about how awesome my wife is, but she is, so she deserves the praise. Oh wow, this cutscene's still going on. Yeah, so that's my headcanon for the first 4 Uncharted games. And that would be the end for this one. But of course we have Uncharted Lost Legacy, which I'm gonna be a total hipster and say that I think I actually prefer Uncharted Lost Legacy to Uncharted 4 because it's the tight pacing and style of the first couple Uncharted games, but it's got like the controls and the gameplay and the epicness of Uncharted 4. It's all killer, no filler, and it's what I feel Uncharted 4 could have been, but I don't know, that's the thing now. If the game is shorter, it apparently is not a full-length game, and it's like a side spin-off game, that was the idea I had with Lost Legacy, but that's not actually the case. It is its own epic game worthy of praise. Yeah, so that was Uncharted 4. We will be doing one more video at some point on Uncharted Lost Legacy, and then we'll be moving on to new video game series. I have a couple other ones planned, but we'll see if the Elden Ring DLC is out by then. So until then, hope you all enjoyed that, and I'll